Hello, grade 10 students. In this presentation, we're going to talk about the mechanism of the nervous system, about activity 2. The nervous system is a network that mainly includes, we have a stimulus that induce reaction through the receptor organ. Then the receptor organ will send a message to the central nervous system, and the central nervous system will send it back to an effector organ, which will induce a response or an action. Receptor organ, the function of this organ is to recognize the stimulus and to stimulate a message. Between the receptor organ and the central nervous system, there exists a neuron, a special type of neuron. They are called sensory neuron. They have another name. They are called afferent. They conduct a message between the sensory organ and the central nervous system. Between the central nervous system and the effector organ, we have a special type of neuron also. We're going to talk about them later. Central nervous system, the main function is to receive the information, to analyze it, to integrate it, and to decide the proper action. Between the central nervous system and the effector organ, this another type of neuron is called the motor neuron. It's called efferent, starting with the letter A, while the sensory here, the sensory neuron afferent. So the motor neuron, they are always related to the action. They conduct a message from the central nervous system to induce a response by the effector organ, which has the role to receive the decision and to get the proper action and the proper decision, or even to stop this action or to stop the decision. These are the pathway or the explained one. These you have to study it and you have to know every single detail in this slide. For example, here Mr. Muhammad, let's say in the class, he saw a cup of water. So it's through the sensory input, through the eyes, send the message to the brain, the central nervous system. The central nervous system integrate the message, analyze it, and send the message back through the motor output through a special neuron. It's called motor neuron, while here it's called by the sensory neuron, and send the message to the effector organ, which is here my hand, to use my muscle and hold the cup of water. So the cup of water, I saw it using my eye through a sensory neuron. I send a message to the central nervous system. The central nervous system integrated, analyze it, and send a message to the motor neuron, to the muscles of the hand, which are the effector organs, to hold and to approach toward the cup and hold it. So this is the pathway. We have pathway of the nervous message. So we have stimulus, then send to the receptor organ. Through the sensory neuron, it will receive to the central nervous system. Inside it, we have a special type of neuron. It's called interneuron. Then from the central nervous system through the motor neuron toward effector organ, and finally from the effector organ you're going to have the response or the action. Anatomy of a neuron. You have to know that the neuron is made up of dendrites, cell body, soma, contain the nucleus, axon, and the terminal arborization. These are the dendrites. Hair-like structure. They receive the message and send it to the cell body. Here is the cell body. The cell body is called soma. It contains this red spot is called the nucleus. The axon, this is the blue one here, is called the axon. May or may not be covered by myelin sheath. This is the myelin sheath, the green one. If you saw here, it's not continuous. For example, in this region, it's not continuous. And we will know later on what is the name of this gap here. Terminal arborization, it's called terminal buds or the lobes. So neuron, the basic structured unit of the nervous system, then rise to carry impulses toward the cell body, while the axon, they carry it away from the cell body. The myelin sheath has a role in insulating and acceleration of the nervous message. So the structure and the functional unit of the central nervous system, or the nervous system in general, it's called the nerve cell. It's called a neuron. And neuron is referred to a bundle of nerve fibers. So a group of nerve fibers that gives a neuron, and a nerve is a bundle of neurons. So this is the figure here. A group of nerve fiber, they give a neuron. Group of neurons, they give a nerve. And group of nerves, they form what's known by the nervous system. Classification of neurons according to the structure. We have unipolar, T-shaped. This type of neuron is usually found in the sensory neurons of the spinal cord, one axon, one dendrite directly joined. Bipolar, usually found in the retina of the eye and in the cerebellum, one axon, one dendrite joined through the soma. And third type, multipolar, it's found in the cerebral cortex, retina, and the spinal cord. It shows many dendrites, yet still it have one axon, always leave the cell body. According to their function, we have sensory, we have motor, and we have special types called associative or interneuron. So sensory, afferent neuron receives and conducts the sensory information from the peripheral sensory organ to the central nervous system. Associative interneuron receives nervous messages from the sensory neuron integrated, and then they carry it or they conduct it to the motor neuron. It's like a link. So the interneuron like a link between sensory and motor. Usually it's found in the brain and spinal cord only. So interneuron only in the brain and the spinal cord. Last, we have the motor neuron. It's called efferent, carrying messages away from the central nervous system to the effector organ. So here the message as I said. This is structure of a neuron, as I said before. Role of myelin. Myelin sheath is a lipoprotein that acts as a protective layer and as insulator. It is not continuous and they have gaps, if you remember in the previous slide. So these gaps, they are called nodes of Branfield.